Alright, we've got another thick Alliance War video for you. This is war number 2 up against PBT. And yeah, I've procrastinated this video. I'm also switching the format back to what I've always done, which means no video cam. We are just importing the videos, the screen recordings from my phone. And then, I just kind of chop them together, and I'll do some voiceover commentary here. So, I've got some pretty interesting fights this war, and by interesting I just mean there's some dangerous fights that could go poorly if I play poorly, type of thing. All great matchups. In fact, this first path, I've got a thing on what I believe it's node. I can't remember. I'm not going to guess, but I've got thing on path 5A. That first fight, it has force of will, so Falcon can't take this fight, and then he's immune to debuffs after he's knocked down, but there's protection knockdown on this node. So I think typically Lizer takes this fight with, or in the past has taken this fight with Omega Red. Omega Red is a pretty good option here, but Lizer is the only Omega player in Battle Group 3, and most alliances place Man-Thing on node 20, and I think that Omega Red is the best counter to that option. There are a lot of counters, but Omega Red, especially played by Lizer, who's just an incredible Omega Red player, probably the safest option. And this Thing fight, is a fight that I have taken several times with Apocalypse, including in the off-season, unboosted, unbuilt, without the cable synergy. And it's one of those fights that if you're comfortable fighting Thing in general, like if you're comfortable dueling Thing, then you can do this fight with a lot of different champs. Apocalypse is a good option just because his SP3 can do a ton of damage. And we're going to see that. So all I'm doing here is I do have to play with his rock stacks. There you guys see I waste my indestructible. My timing in this war on a lot of different fronts was just off. I do have kind of a theory on why that was, and I'll talk about that here in a second. I just want to get to the strategy first. All I'm doing is trying to build up to my SP3. Alright, I'm going to push him to 15 rock stacks. I'm going to take this SP1 to the face again. And now I just need to heavy him to get that protection off. He doesn't have his natural protection. And we're going to throw the SP3, and you'll see how much damage this does. Now this is with 4 prowess, and this is also with some small mutant boost, but you guys can see, it takes over 50% of his health. And we're already back up to 2 bars of power, which is excellent. That'll just speed the rest of this fight up. So again, I'm going to push him to 15 rock stacks, and then I'm going to bait out a special just so I don't have to deal with the unstoppable. And then I'm going to counter with a heavy to knock him down. There goes the node protection, and we're going to throw this SP3 and he's done. So a very sloppy version of that fight, but again, if you're comfortable playing Thing in general, Apocalypse is a very good option. Rank 3, rank 4. It honestly doesn't matter if you have 4 genetic code going into that fight. I think in the offseason I took it with 1 genetic code and no boost, of course, no suicides or anything like that. And it took 3 SP3s instead of 2. So just to give you some context there. Alright, now this fight has heavy hitter, which means that I cannot interrupt his heavy attack. Obviously you can't parry his medium attacks, so you need to re-parry him on this node to get your heavy ins. Now, one thing that I thought going in is Omega Red has taken Nick Fury on this node before, and I've seen numerous Omega Red videos taking Nick Fury here, where if Omega Red waits out the entire heavy animation, so both swipes, then the last hit of Omega Red's heavy can land. So here I think that I can do the same thing, and I can't. I lose the indestructible. Not the biggest deal. There I cancel his Fury by intercepting. And what I should do here is just throw a special to get the protection off. But I'm going to try another heavy because I'm an idiot. Alright, so now I throw the... He's got Unstoppable from Heavy Hitter. I kind of panicked a little bit. I threw my SP2 right into that. Of course, he was able to recover and block because he was unstoppable. Now I need to bait this out. I'm just going to block most of it here, all of it, because I think that I need to save my dexterity, but I've already used dexterity. So there I finally get my heavy. And you guys can see I'm only at 2 judgments here. I thought that I was at 3. Again, this fight just kind of threw me off. I throw my SP2, which only gives me the 2 additional judgments. So I'm not able to Fate Seal him, which means that he's going to be able to get his armor back, or his fury back. That's going to allow him to do more damage. And then also auto block if I try to intercept. Here I just dropped an input. Obviously, I finally got the reparry. I dropped the input, and then before I threw this SP2, and I'm going to die here. So very, very fun. Second war of the season. Just totally devastated. But he was at about a little over 2 bars of power. And I was thinking, okay, I need to recover adrenaline health here. I can throw my SP2 to knock him down because he's got the protection. But when he rushed in because of his kit, he gained power when he rushed in. So when I threw my SP2, that pushed him over 3 bars, and that was the end. So, so many mistakes there. And, you know, this is a fine matchup. Originally, actually, there was a Dr. Doom slotted for this fight. But Lizer, who's the planner for BG3, Lizer and I kind of talked about whether or not Apocalypse would be safer for the Thing, and I felt like Apocalypse would be safer for Thing than the other option that was floated out there, which was not a Lizer with Omega Red, by the way. She was slotted for Man-Thing on the left island, and you know, of course, I was like, yeah, I mean, Nova's not going to be an issue at all with CGR. He'll just destroy that fight in 20 seconds. Here you guys can see that I'm playing poorly. I'm just kind of flustered. And it's really just a heavy hitter. Like, that threw everything off. That's obviously why he's placed here. It is good placement. But, you know, if I could redo that fight, I am 99.9% sure that I would solo with either Apocalypse or Cosmic Ghost Rider, and I just needed to be patient and wait for the opportunity to reparry, land a reparry, throw the heavy to knock down protection, or just use my specials to knock down protection. I mean, that honestly would not have been a big deal with CGR, especially if I'm able to get 5 judgments. I can Fate Seal him for a small portion of time, and I can use my power gain buff to get myself back up to 2 bars of power before the protection comes back. And then, you know, with the power back boost, I would have been able to recycle specials. So just, you know, I always stress to people, or in the past, I've always stressed to people, plan for the worst case scenario and make sure that you have a recourse if the worst case scenario comes true. And I didn't do that in that fight. I knew what I was supposed to do in the fight going in, but I wasn't 100% sure if I would be able to heavy counter, even with the heavy hitter node, and yeah, anyway. Just a big bummer. While I smash this hit monkey, let's real quick, I do want to throw this out here, and you know, I hope you guys understand at this point, if you've watched my videos before, I'm never going to make excuses. And so this is not an excuse. I fairly lost that Cosmic Ghost Rider Nova fight. I played absolutely awful, and you know, I should not have won that fight. Even if I had gotten lucky and somehow soloed, I shouldn't have. However, the refactor beta for the input system that Kabam introduced, you know, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I think. When they introduced that, I switched it on, which is in the settings, or was in the settings. I switched that on. I really liked it. I felt like it did correct a lot of the minor input issues, which was exciting to me. However, there was a bug with that refactor that only if the refactor is activated Penny Parker's auto block can actually parry you, and it says specifically in her abilities that it does not trigger parry. So that was a bug. Now, I ranked up Venom Pool to rank 3 in the off-season, specifically for Penny Parker's on node 55, and I tested one in the off-season. I, of course, got parried and killed because she was able to parry me with Refactor. Karate Mike actually told me to turn off the Refactor for Penny Parker, and so my thought process was, I'll just turn off the Refactor entirely and I'll adjust, because I'll just adjust back to being a little off base. And I think that, you know, getting kind of acclimated with the Refactor for 3 weeks and then going back to having it off messed with my parry and dex timing a little bit. And that's why, you know, in this war, at least in those first 2 fights, I got kind of smacked around a little bit. Even in the Thing fight, I mean, I just was missing, I was just off on my dex timing and all that stuff. So I think that contributed. It's not an excuse. I still should have won both fights easily. And you guys can see at this point that, you know, I am in a little bit of a rhythm with the timing and stuff. It's not like no longer an issue, but I don't know. It's just really disappointing. You know, my last season in 4 Loki, season 23, I went 69-1. I've never had a perfect season. I've had 2 seasons where I've only died once, gotten really close. But I've never had that perfect season. I thought that this season was going to be it, because everything that I've done with CGR so far, up until this war, everything I'd done with him at rank 4, I mean, he was just killing everybody so fast. I even said in my last war video, I was going to clip it, but I couldn't find the clip, and I didn't want to watch 26 minutes of my own war video, but I even said, I totally jinxed myself. I said that I didn't know if it was possible that CGR could die in a good matchup, and I think that CGR was a good matchup for that Nova. So anyway, just disappointing. Now I do have the Odin Shock Resist buff. You guys can see that under my health pool. So, you know, this fight is actually pretty hilarious. He's at 15 rage stacks here. All he's got to do is throw a special to activate it. I'm trying to get him to throw his SP1. He'll also naturally activate it if he gets up to 25 rage stacks without throwing a special. But there he throws it. I am cornered, and he's passively unblockable. I think that lasts for like 3 seconds or something when he activates it. Or unstoppable, and now he's also unblockable passively until his Berserk mode expires. But he's really aggressive, so it's easy to intercept him. So I'm just recycling my SP1s, and this is pretty funny because he was healing them back when he has Berserk activated. He's just healing all that stuff back. So it's just kind of this like washing machine of me throwing my SB2s, him healing it back, me throwing more SB2s, and then Berserk expires, he stops regenning, and I'm able to finish it. A very easy fight with Apocalypse if you know what you're doing against Weapon X, but yeah. Alright, so we have a couple of fights left here. This first one is Cosmic Ghost Rider. Now, because I died, and because I had a bad fight against Thing, and because I had actually a pretty good fight against that Doom, but that Doom in general just takes so much health away from me because of the node, and because Apocalypse's health pool is so insane, you guys can see I'm very low on items. I'm at 5 items, and I have one more fight after this fight with CGR. Now, I was originally going to take this Cosmic Ghost Rider with my Cosmic Ghost Rider, who would be fine, but Apocalypse is also going to be fine. Apocalypse already has the shock resist. So, and of course he's healed up. So if I were to die or something like that with CGR in this fight, I'd have to heal him up and I could item out before my next fight. So anyway, using Apocalypse, this is going to be very easy. I only hit him once there because I knew that he would trigger an armor when I hit him, and there was a 30% chance that he could also trigger the Unstoppable Global. Now here he does trigger the Unstoppable Global, so you just gotta wait that out. I'm gonna throw my SP3. We're gonna sneak it fully in right before the timer comes back, but it doesn't trigger the Unstoppable Armor, which is fine. And then we're just gonna get to an extra SP3. And I'm just waiting out this phase. See, there he gets his armor, but no Unstoppable, which is good, so I know that I'm safe to throw my SP2, and this fight is over. Well, it's going to be over after this SP1, so, alright. Okay, now my next fight is a warlock on node 55, which is the brute force node. I think it now has disorient as well, so you can't just freely use parries and stuff like that. So I am changing my masteries. I'm going to take off willpower just to be extra safe. I will not die a second time in this war, and I mean, God, things would have to go even worse than in the Nova fight for me to lose this matchup. Which, I mean, you guys will see how hilarious it is. But I am going to remove willpower just in case. Worst case scenario, I get infected, I get power drained, and, like if he throws his SP1 with the shock, and willpower drops my power, and I'm not able to, like, recycle my SP2s and whatever. Like, that's the doomsday scenario. It's unlikely, but just trying to do everything that I can after that death to Nova to make sure that I'm not going to give up another one. So anyway, all right. We're just boosting up here. And the thing with Warlock is, as you guys know, he starts the fight with an armor. Now, with this global, anytime the defender activates an armor, there is a 30% chance for them to activate also an unstoppable passive. So that means that there's a 30% chance that when we start this fight, before we've ever touched Warlock, he'll have an unstoppable passive. So I know that going in. I also know that I'm not going to use my parry at the beginning because it'll inflict disorient. Here you guys will see he does trigger that unstoppable passive at the beginning. But now it goes away and there's just a timer for 10 seconds. So I'm going to back off parry. You guys can see that disorient. So I'm just block baiting. Yet again, I miss parry there. I do have brute force on me. It doesn't matter at this point. We're going to throw the SP2. You guys can see that timer underneath his health bar. That's when he's about to get back the unstoppable global. I throw it. He does trigger that armor, and of course, he triggers the unstoppable global, which again, 30% chance. So the RNG, my RNG in this fight was not good, but again, it doesn't matter. Even with him blocking that damage because of so much, blocking that SP2 because of so much damage, I'm able to get back up to an SP3 and he's dead. So, okay, that is it. I procrastinated this war because I was so bummed out about the death and just frankly didn't want to deal with it. But there it is. I hope you enjoyed it. We ended up winning this war. I can't remember what the score was. I think the final was like 9-5, so we had a decent war there. But that is it, guys. Thanks. Leave a like and comment if you have any opinions on the fights that you saw. And I will have a War 3 video up here in the next couple days. And that is it.